ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिवि सीदसादनम् ॐ महागणपतये नमः.
At the international headquarters of the Theosophical Society, Adyar, we have 6 great religious shrines: the Hindu temple, the Buddhist shrine, the Zoroastrian temple, the Church of Saint Michael, the mosque, and a Sikh temple. For the Hindu temple or the Bharata Samaj temple, it is a time for celebration and recollection of a century-old memories. Yes, today the 1st May of 2021 marks the centenary of the foundation of the Bharata Samaj temple or Temple of Light, also known as the Hindu temple. In 1920, some prominent group of theosophists living in southern India came together and formed an association and called it as Bharata Samaj, the League of Children of India. Its purpose was to simplify certain rituals of Hinduism, particularly that of Upanayana or thread ceremony and marriage. Bharata Samaj considered that in both the ceremonies it was possible to extract the really important Vedic verses of consecration and condense the ceremonies so as to make them more effective. Under the guidance of Pandit Mahadeva Sastri, a very distinguished Sanskrit scholar, well versed in all ancient traditions, a concise collection of important rituals were compiled and thus was named as Bharata Samaj Puja. The original form of ancient rituals were retained, and nothing that was not in the ancient Sanskrit version was added, but non-essentials were omitted. The Bharata Samaj had its own identity, ideals, motto, and logo. Bharata Samaj recognizes that service is the highest ideal of life. The Bharata Samaj also aimed at reforming the injurious and meaningless customs. They included child marriage, immature parenthood, breaking down of unnecessary social restrictions, simplification of elaborate and long ceremonies, the significance of which was unknown even in the ancient scriptures. The Bharata Samaj Association members considered that their work could be strengthened if they had a special Bharata Samaj temple in the headquarters estate of the Theosophical Society. The Executive Council of the Society gave them a small plot of ground, and the Hindu Theosophists began collecting funds for the construction of the temple. With the collection, they successfully laid down the foundation for the temple on 1st May 1921. This was founded by Dr. Annie Besant, who always encouraged the study of promotion of great world religions. This temple's uniqueness revolves around replacing a normal practice of an idol or an image of any deity with a glorious light. The light or Jyoti is a symbolic representation of the indwelling presence of God omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. This is also recognized by all various divisions of Hinduism as a symbol of God. The construction of the temple was planned to be completed for the Jubilee Convention of the Theosophical Society in 1925. It took nearly 4.5 years for the construction of this beautiful Hindu temple at Adyar. The Bharata Samaj temple is situated off Founders Avenue, before the Adyar Library and Research Center and on the Arundale Avenue. The temple is oriented from east to west and adorned with spectacular architecture, skillfully designed as per the ancient Sastra, as it is fenced by a low wall and lush green belt of flowering plants. The temple is self-sufficient for water with a well in the northeast corner. The water from this well is used for performing puja as well as cleaning the puja kit. As we approach the temple, there are 7 steps leading up to a platform from the ground, and we are greeted with 2 beautiful elephants, the symbols of wisdom and knowledge on either side. The 12-stone pillared platform just before the main temple is raised by 4 feet above the floor of the temple. The congregation assembled for the puja sit cross-legged upon mats on this platform. As we further advance from east to west of the temple, we find the innermost heart of the temple, the sanctum. The center of this most sacred place is marked with a cubical altar made up of marble, and upon it burns the sacred fire, the ornamented lamp. If we look at the temple structure, we can observe technically so many pillars are not essential to hold the temple strong, and yet we find the temple filled with solid rock. In fact, this is true with many temples. The science of sound archaeology has proved that the sound generated amidst varying structures of rock generates a reverb, and such acoustics create a lasting effect. Thus, the mantras in the rituals recited here are designed to ensure the rock responds in a manner to produce lasting positive acoustics. In fact, the elementals of earth, that is the rock, the air, fire, water, and space or akasha, respond to the sounds, and they create forms based on the method in which the sounds are produced. The performer of the puja passes in and out of the small square room during the performance of the ritual. Above him there is a dome or gopura. The space designed above the place for the performer will again produce a magnificent effect. Over this place or sanctum of the shrine, there is a dome-like structure called the gopuram. The spike-like structure above it also has its own role to play in creating a positive atmosphere. Around the dome on the east we see Brahma. On the southern side we find Nataraja, Shiva in dancing posture. On the western side we find Venugopala or Sri Krishna with his flute, and on the northern side we find Subramanian, the son of Shiva. The east face of the roof of Mandapam presents one of the finest pieces of architecture to be seen on this Hindu temple. The first puja in the newly completed Bharat Samaj temple was performed by Brother Jiddu Krishnamurti, also fondly known as Krishnaji, on 21st December 1925. Krishnaji had spent many days with Pandit Mahadeva Shastri and others learning the Vedic verses With extraordinary zeal and enthusiasm, the congregation on the first puja consisted not only of Hindus of all castes, but also of representatives of all other major religions. On this occasion, it was observed that the most wonderful changes took place on the higher planes during the ritual, and a vehicle was created to receive a magnificent downpour of spiritual life and power. During the course of this presentation, let us explore the hidden significance behind the stone carvings, images, and symbols on the pillars and walls of this temple.
Brothers and sisters, it's a great privilege to belong to the Theosophical Society. We are here drawn by what it stands for, the use of which we can make of it for promoting human progress and happiness. Theosophy, Brahma Vidya, knowledge of the One, Supreme, Eternal, Changeless. Dr. Annie Besant explains Theosophy as peacemaker amongst religions. She writes, Theosophy does not make converts. That is its glory. It asks every man to believe, to spiritualize his own faith. It asks every man to search into his own faith. It declares that there is one religion out of which all religions sprung, and that those are nearest to the heart of things, who are full of love, compassion, and toleration. Thus, Theosophy among religions is a peacemaker. It teaches their fundamental unity among ever external diversity. It leaves to every religion its peculiarities, only explaining them so as to enable it to defend itself against the attack of unwise religionists as well as against materialism and superstitions. Thus, each religion is treated as coming from the one great brotherhood, which is the steward and custodian of spiritual knowledge. Each is treated as an expression by some member and messenger of that brotherhood of the eternal spiritual truths. It is an expression suited to the needs of the time at which it was made and of the dawning civilization that it was intended to mold and to guide in its evolution. Thus, each religion has its own mission in the world, is suited to the nations to whom it is given and to the type of civilization it is to permeate, bringing it into line with the general evolution of the human family. That is why the second object of the Theosophical Society encourages the study of comparative religion to know the best in each religion. We must carry on this work with reverence for all religions which purify man's life, elevate his emotions, comfort him in sorrow, and gives him message of peace. So, brothers and sisters, let us try our best to understand all, at least the seven great religions of the world, to convert none, and in offering to share the knowledge with which we have been entrusted, with a hope to deepen every man's faith by adding to his own faith knowledge and by unveiling the common foundation which supports all religions. We have in this international headquarters of the Theosophical Society, Adyar, 6 great religious shrines.
There are 12 pillars that support the structure or mandapam of the Bharata Samaja temple. On each pillar, on each side, there are these beautiful stone carvings of goddesses and gods, that is, Devatas and Devis. These images depict the true spirit of Hindu mythology wheeled in allegory and illustrated by symbols.
Dakshinamurti, eternal virgin youth, Shiva as Dakshinamurti, and he is seen seated under the banyan tree, dispels doubts of his aged pupils, that is sages, by the teaching given in the perfect silence. On his left lower hand, a manuscript, and on his right lower hand has the circled thumb, and forefinger is stretched apart from other three fingers. The symbolic hand gesture, that is the mudra, is the Jnana Mudra, a symbol of knowledge and wisdom. Sometimes this hand is in Abhaya Mudra, a posture of assurance and blessing. Dakshinamurti means one who is facing south, Dakshina in Sanskrit. It also means Karuna or kindness, benevolence, Dakshinya. So this manifestation of Shiva is a benevolent teacher who accords wisdom to seekers of salvation. Dakshina means efficient. Hindu god Shiva is worshipped as Guru, efficient teacher of all types of knowledge. Paramasiva is converted to Paramaguru. This is the personification as the supreme or the ultimate awareness, understanding and knowledge. Here, this form also represents Shiva as a teacher of yoga, music and wisdom, and giving exposition on the Shastras. He is the personification of ignorance, as represented by demon being crushed under his right foot of the deity and left foot folded on his lap. Jnana Mudra is interpreted in this way. Vyagyana Mudra, the thumb denotes the God. The index finger denotes man. The other three fingers stand for the three congenial impurities of man: arrogance, illusion, and bad deeds of the past births. When man detaches himself from these impurities, he reaches God. The rosary or snake in his hand signifies the tantric knowledge. The fire represents illumination, removing the darkness of ignorance. Dakshinamurti is portrayed as a powerful form brimming with ever-flowing bliss, supreme joy, while being in yogic state of abstract meditation.
गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः।
Brahma is the creator of God in Hinduism. He is also known as Swayambhu, self-born, Vagesa, Lord of speech, and creator of 4 Vedas, one from each of his mouths, thus known as Vedanada. Jnaneshwar, God of knowledge, Chaturmukha, having 4 faces, as well as linked to Karma, and Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic egg. Brahma created himself in a golden egg known as Hiranyagarbha. After he created himself, he then created the entire universe, Vedas and people. Brahma is traditionally depicted with 4 faces and 4 arms. Each face of his points to the cardinal directions: east, west, north and south. His hands hold no weapons, rather symbols of knowledge and creation. In one hand, he holds the sacred text of Vedas. In second, he holds mala, or rosary beads, symbolizing time. And in third, he holds shruva, or shak, a ladle type, symbolizing means to feed sacrificial fire. And in fourth, a kamandalu, utensil with water, symbolizing the means where all creation emits. From his four mouths are credited with creating the four Vedas. He is often depicted with white beard, implying his sage-like appearance. He sits on lotus, dressed in white, with his vehicle or vagana, Hamsa or swan. Swan is considered to be a symbol of beauty in Hindu tradition and is associated with Brahma as a vehicle and is meant to point to the fact that the creative function of Brahma expresses itself generally through beauty. We all know that whenever there is real creative work, it is almost always associated with beauty. Every work of art is a thing of beauty. Another quality associated with the swan is discrimination, capacity to separate the essential from the non-essential. Real knowledge always develops the capacity to discriminate between the essential and the non-essential. And the deeper our knowledge, the more easily we can separate the milk of essential facts and principles from the water, constituting the details with which the essential is diluted, as the proverbial swan of Hindu tradition is said to do. The concept of Brahma is Saraswati, since Devi represents the power of the corresponding Devata. The symbols associated with her should suggest the ways and the means through which the function or functions of the Devata are exercised. So, how is knowledge represented by Brahma brought into use? Obviously through technique. When we want to put any knowledge to practical use, we must first develop a technique for doing so. For example, writing a book, painting a picture, composing a music, or inventing some instruments, etc. So it is this infinite number of techniques which is symbolized by the veena, stringed musical instrument in her hand, represents all creative arts and science. She is the Hindu goddesses of knowledge, music, art, speech, wisdom, and learning. She is the part of Trinity, Tridevi, of Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. All the three equal forms unite with the Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to create, to maintain, and to regenerate the universe respectively. She is goddesses mentioned in Rig Veda and remarked the significance from Vedic period through modern times of Hindu tradition. She is generally shown to have 4 arms, holding a book, a rosary, a water pot, and the above mentioned musical instrument, veena. They all have symbolic meaning. The goddess Saraswati is often depicted as a beautiful woman dressed in pure white, often seated on white lotus, which symbolizes light, knowledge, and truth. Book not only embodies knowledge, but also experiences the highest reality. And white color symbolizes sattva guna, or purity. Book in her hand symbolized knowledge of Vedas, also all forms of learning. Mala of crystal in her hand represent the power of meditation, inner reflection, and spirituality. A pot of water represents the purifying power to separate right from wrong, clean from unclean, essential from non-essential. Swan is her vehicle, symbolizes for spiritual perfection, transcendence and moksha. Sometimes peacock is shown as vehicle of goddesses. The peacock symbolizes colorful splendor and celebration of dance, and as the devourer of snakes. She is usually depicted near a flowing river or another body of water, which depiction may constitute the reference to her early history as a river goddess, Saraswati River. Saraswati Puja is performed on the last 3 days of Navaratri festival or doll festival, and it also marks the helping of young children to learn how to write letters of alphabet the Vijayadashmi day.
सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा हस्ते स्फटिकमालिकां नगदतीं पद्मासने संस्थितां वन्दे तां परमेश्वरी भगवती बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्
शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गम्.
Vishnu is known as the preserver within the Trimurti, Hindu Trinity. Vishnu is the supreme being who pervades, protects, supports and transforms the universe. He is the highest form of Ishwar. He is with qualities of Saguna and have certain form, but is limitless, transcendent and unchanging absolute Brahman and the primal Atman of the universe. There are many benevolent and fearsome depictions of Vishnu. In benevolent aspect, he is depicted as an omniscient, sleeping as reclining posture on the coils of serpent Adisesha, who represents time, floating in the primeval ocean of milk called Shira Sagara, accompanied by his consort Lakshmi, as he dreams the universe into reality. He is also shown in standing and seated in yoga posture. Vishnu shows himself as dark blue, blue-grey, slight black colored skin, well-dressed jeweled man. He is typically shown with 4 arms, but 2-armed representations are also found. The picture of him shows holding a crunch or shankha named Panchaganya, a chakra, war discus named Sudarshana. The conch or shell is spiral and symbolizes all of interconnected spiraling cyclic existence, while the discus symbolizes him as that which restores dharma with war if necessary when cosmic equilibrium is overwhelmed by evil. One of his arms sometimes carries gada, the club or mace, which symbolizes the authority and power of knowledge. In the 4th arm, he holds a lotus flower, Padma, which symbolizes purity and transcendence. Vishnu is called by 1,000 names, Sahasranama. He is also called as Hari, remover of sins. Whenever the world is threatened with evil, chaos, and destructive forces, Vishnu descends in the form of an avatar or incarnation to restore the cosmic order and protect dharma. As divine Lord Sri Krishna himself has said in the marvelous poem, the Bhagavad Gita,
यदा यदा धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
When dharma, that is righteousness or law, decays, when adharma, unrighteousness or lawlessness is exalted, then I myself come forth for the protection of the good, for the destruction of the evil, for the establishing firmly of dharma. I am born from age to age. That is what he tells us of the coming forth of the avatar. Dasavatara are the 10 primary avatars or incarnations of Lord Vishnu. Matsya avatar, the fish avatar, the king Vaivasvata Manu finds a little fish in the palm of his hands when performing the tarpana, water offering. The fish asked Manu if his riches and power was enough to give the fish a nice home. Manu keeps the fish to give it a home, but the fish keeps expanding, which breaks Manu's pride about his wealth. Eventually, he releases into the ocean. Realizing it is Lord Vishnu himself. Vishnu informs Manu of the coming destruction of the world by means of fires and floods, and directs Manu to collect all creatures of the world and keep them safe on a boat built by the gods. When the deluge, the pralaya, comes, Vishnu appears as a great fish with a horn to which Manu ties the boat, which leads them into safety. Kurma avatar, a giant tortoise avatar, he supports the cosmos while the gods and demons churn the cosmic ocean with Mantara, the mountain placed on the tortoise, with the help of the serpent Vasuki, to produce the nectar of immortality. The churning produces both good and the bad, includes nectar and poison. Amrita, or nectar, comes forth, symbol of one life which passes through every form, and that life appears above waters, the taking of which is necessary in order that every form may live. Varaha avatar, the giant boar avatar, he appeared to defeat Hiranyaksha, a demon who had taken the earth or Prithvi and carried it to the bottom of what is described as the cosmic ocean. The battle between Varaha and Hiranyaksha is believed to have lasted for 1,000 years or so, which the farmer finally won. So Varaha carried the earth out of the ocean between his tusks and restored to its place in the universe. Thus, to restore cosmic order and forward the evolution, these 3 avatars were taken by the descent of Vishnu. Fish had typified the Silurian epoch, the tortoise to bring about the amphibian evolution, so did the boar, typical mammalian evolution, and safeguard the Lemurian continent with its wonderful variety of forms of mammalian life. Narasimha avatar, the man-lion avatar, you know the story of Prahalada, the Vishnu Bhakta, how his Daitya father strove to kill him because the name of Hari was ever on his lips. How he strove to slay him with sword. The sword fell broken from the neck of the child. How then he tried to poison him and Vishnu appeared and ate first of the poisoned rice so that boy might eat it with the name of the Hari on his lips. How his father strove to slay him by furious elephant, by the fang of the serpent, by throwing him over a precipice, and by crushing him under the stone. But ever the cry of Hari, Hari brought deliverance, for in the elephant, in the fang of serpent, in the precipice and the stone, Hari was ever present, and his devotee was safe in that presence. Finally, when the father, challenging the omnipresence of the deity, pointed to the stone pillar and said in mocking language, "Is your Hari also in the pillar?" "Hari, Hari," cried the boy, and the pillar burst asunder, and the mighty form came forth and slew the Daitya that doubted, in order that he might learn the omnipresence of the Supreme. Vamana avatar, the dwarf avatar, the fourth descendant of Vishnu, Bali, the king with devotion and penance, was able to defeat Indra, the god of firmament. This humbled the other deities and extended his authority over the three worlds. The gods appealed to Vishnu for protection, and he descended as a boy, Vamana. During the yajna of the king, Vamana approached him, and Bali promised him for whatever he asked. Vamana asked for 3 pieces of land, and Bali agreed, and the dwarf then changed his size to that of a giant Trivikrama form. With his first stride, he covered the earthly realm, while the second he covered the heavenly realm, thereby symbolically covering the abode of all living beings. He then took the third stride, and Bali realized that Vamana was Vishnu incarnate. The king offered his head as the third place for Vamana to place his foot. The avatar did so, and thus granted Bali immortality and making him ruler of Padala, the nether world. Parashurama, the warrior with an axe avatar, is son of Jamandagini and Renuka, and was granted as boon an axe after penance to Shiva. He is the first Brahmin Kshatriya in Hinduism, or warrior sage, who had to follow the dharma of both Brahmin as well as Kshatriya. He is Chiranjeevi, immortal, and he also credited for creating the coastal belt of Karnataka and Kerala, throwing his mighty axe as per Hindu mythology. The place the axe landed in sea got its water displaced, and the land which emerged thus came to be known as coast of Karnataka and the whole of Kerala. Then the great Rama avatar, the avatar of morality and rules, the prince and king of Ayodhya, the ideal model of a common prince without superpowers, and despite being an incarnation, his story is recounted in one of the most widely read scriptures of Hinduism, the Ramayana.
Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varannane Shri Rama Nama Varannana Om Namaiti.
Lakshmi. Lakshmi is one of the principal goddesses in Hinduism. She is the goddess of wealth, fortune, love, beauty, joy, and prosperity. Along with Parvati and Saraswati, she forms the trinity of Hindu goddesses, Tridevi. Lakshmi is both the wife and divine energy, Shakti, of Hindu god Vishnu, the supreme being. She assists Vishnu to create, protect, and transform the universe. Whenever Vishnu descends on the earth as an avatar, Lakshmi accompanied him as wife. For example, Sita in Rama avatar and Rukmani in Krishna avatar. The 8 prominent manifestations of Lakshmi, the Ashtalakshmi, symbolizes the 8 sources of wealth. Lakshmi is depicted in Indian art as an elegantly dressed, prosperity showing, golden colored woman with an owl as her vehicle. She typically stands and sits on a lotus pedestal while holding a lotus in her hand, symbolizing the fortune, self-knowledge, and spiritual liberation. Her 4 hands, which represents the 4 aspects of human life important to Hindu culture. They are Dharma, pursuit of ethical moral life; Kama, pursuit of love, emotional fulfillment; Artha, the pursuit of wealthy means of life; Moksha, the pursuit of self-knowledge and liberation.
नमस्तेऽस्तु महामाये श्रीपीठे सुरपूजिते शङ्खचक्रगदाहस्ते महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते.
Shiva is a supreme lord who creates, protects and transforms the universe. Shiva is a primal Atman. He is depicted as an omniscient yogi who lives an ascetic life as well as a householder with wife Parvati and his 2 children Ganesha and Kartikeya. In his fierce aspects, he is often depicted as slaying demons. Shiva is also known as Adiyogi Shiva, regarded as a patron god of yoga, meditation and art. The iconographical attributes of Shiva are the serpent around his neck, the adorning crescent moon on his head, the holy river Ganga flowing from his matted hair, the 3rd eye on his forehead, the Trishula or trident as his weapon, and the Damaru, the drum. He is also worshipped in the aniconic form of Lingam, referred as Shivalingam. Shiva is a pan-Hindu deity revered widely by Hindus in India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Shiva is also known as the cosmic dancer, or more widely as Nataraja, the supreme dancer. This form of Nataraja has been hailed as the highest concept of art. Among the 5 elements, the subtlest space, whose essence is sound, is represented by Akashalingam. Lord Nataraja personifies the descent from the subtlest as an act of creation and also the ascent from the grossest as an act of dissolution. Ananda Tandavam, the blissful dance, is a dance even beyond the realm of unheard sound or Shiva Vyapti, the ultimate. The place of dance is Chit Akasha, the hall of supreme consciousness.
जटाटवीगलज्जलप्रवाहपावितस्थले गलेवलम्ब्यलम्बिताम्बुजङ्गतुण्डमालिकाम् ढमड्डमड्डमड्डमन्निनादमड्डमर्वयं चकारचण्डताण्डवं तनोतु नः शिव शिवम्.
Parvati is also known as Shakti. She is a consort of Lord Shiva and is considered an embodiment of the Vedas. She is responsible for creation, protection, and destruction. She is the goddess of fertility, love, beauty, harmony, marriage, children, devotion, as well as divine strength and power. Along with Lakshmi and Saraswati, Parvati forms the trinity of Hindu goddesses.
अम्बा शाम्भवी चन्द्रमौळिरमला अपर्णा उमा पार्वती काली हैमवती शिवा त्रिनयनी कात्यायनी भैरवी सावित्री नवयौवना शुभकरी साम्राज्यलक्ष्मी प्रदा चित्रूपी परदेवता भगवती श्रीराजराजेश्वरी चित्रूपी परदेवता भगवती श्रीराजराजेश्वरी।
Shiva Shakti or Ardhanariswara. Shiva resides in the Sahasrara Chakra and Shakti in Mooladhara Chakra. When Prakriti and Purusha unite in the Sahasrara Chakra, knowledge, knower, and the object of knowledge become one. Once we have experienced this, no desires remain within us because we realize unequivocally that everything we have ever yearned for is carried within us. In this state of absolute consciousness, there are no polarities and therefore no more sorrows. There is only everlasting joy, unconditional love, unlimited compassion, and total understanding for all living beings.
Sapta Rishis. On either side of the door of shrine, 5 Rishi, sages seated one above the other. Included in this are Sapta Rishis. They are the 7 greatest sages of Vedic realm. They have attained a semi-immortal status, that of an exceedingly lifespan due to their yogic power and by the power of their penance. The 7 holy sages were assigned to be present through the 4 great ages to guide the human race. These 7 sages or Sapta Rishis worked closely with Lord Shiva to maintain the balance on earth. They are the 7 mind-born sons of Lord Brahma, who live for a period of time known as a Manvantara. During this period of time, they serve as representatives of Brahma, and at the end of a Manvantara, the universe gets destroyed and Saptarishi merge in God, and the task of filling the earth is given to newly appointed Saptarishi. All the Saptarishi are Brahmarshis, which means they have completely understood the meaning of Brahman. They are so powerful that they are capable of defeating every weapon on earth, can forecast the future, and are not influenced by the circle of life and death. Maharshi means great sage in Sanskrit, and Rajarshi means royal sage in Sanskrit. Refers to one who is a king or a prince as well as a sage, and can leave the kingship and become a rishi, such as Vishwamitra, who is said to have performed meditations and austerities, tapasya, for 10,000s of years, and as a result, he was awarded the Brahma Rishi from Brahma himself. Sapta Rishis are Bharadwaja, Vishwamitra, Vasishta, Gautama, Atri, Kashyapa, Jamadagni. We have other rishis seen in the column are Agastya, Maitreya, Manu.
Vedantists. There are 3 main sub-schools of Vedanta. They should be regarded as successive steps rather than as antagonistic theories. All asserts the divine existence as the source of the universe, but the Dvaita teachings alleges or eternal division between God and man. They remain eternally distinct. The Visishta Advaita goes a step further, asserting duality but merging it into a final unity. The Advaita insists on the fundamental unity and is so intent on this that, dazzled by the darkness that is excess of light, is well nigh loses be the science of universe, seeing only one under the illusive forms. In order to remind us of these great Vedantins, we see on the pillars beautifully carved stone images of Saint Madhvacharya, Saint Shankaracharya and Saint Ramanujar. Madhvacharya. Saint Madhvacharya lived from 1238 to 1317 and known as Purna Prajna and Ananda Tirtha. He was the Indian philosopher, theologian and chief proponent of Dvaita school of Vedanta, that is dualism. He commented on principal Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras and credited with 37 works in Sanskrit. His writing style was of extreme brevity and condensed expression. Saint Madhvacharya's teachings are built on the premise that there is fundamental difference between Atman, individual, and the Brahman, ultimate reality. These are two different unchanging realities with individual soul dependent on Brahman, never identical. With theistic dualism teachings, he believed and asserted liberation is achieved only through the grace of God. Saint Madhvacharya established many monasteries and Krishna temple in a place called Udupi, situated in South India, and also installed ideal of Krishna secured from Dwaraka in Gujarat in the year 1285.
Ramanujacharya, or Ramanuja as is well known, is a great Indian philosopher, a theologian, a social reformer, and also one of the prominent exponents of Sri Vaishnavism tradition. Ramanuja disagreed with his guru on the non-dualistic nature of Advaita philosophy. He promoted a new school of thought, which is Visishtadvaita, a qualified non-dualistic sub-school of Vedanta. He is a great saint and also a promoter of universal brotherhood of humanity. He embraced the untouchables and treated them on par with the so-called elite group.
Adi Shankara, Indian philosopher and theologian who consolidated the doctrine of Advaita Vedanta, is credited with unifying and establishing the main currents of thought in Hinduism. The birthplace of Adi Shankara is at Kaladi in Kerala. Born to poor and aged parents, they named him Shankara, meaning giver of prosperity. Shankara, at the age of 8, became a sannyasin and left his house for education and became the disciple of Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Shankara travelled widely across the Indian subcontinent from north end to the south to propagate his philosophy Advaita Vedanta through discourses and debates with other thinkers. He traveled all over India also to help to restore the study of the Vedas. Over 300 texts are attributed to his name, including commentaries, that is Bhashyas, original philosophical expositions, poetry, stotras. Shankara is known for his systemic reviews and commentaries on ancient Indian texts. Shankara's masterpiece of commentary is the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Commentary of Brahma Sutra, fundamental text of Vedanta school of Hinduism. Is reputed to have founded 4 madas, that is monasteries, which helped in the historical development, revival and spread of Advaita Vedanta, for which he was known as the great revivalist. Adi Shankara died in the 33rd year of his life. Within this short period of life, he made diverse journeys, pilgrimages, public debate, installation of yantras and lingas, as well as founding of monastic centers in north, east, west and south of India. He introduced the Pancha Yatna form of worship, the simultaneous worship of 5 deities, Ganesha, Surya, Vishnu, Shiva and Devi. And he explains that all these deities were but different forms of one Brahman, the invisible supreme being. 5 shrine worship, he says, is a solution to varied and conflicting devotional practices. Thus, one could worship any 5 deities as one Ishtadevata or deity of choice.
As per Jyotisha Shastra, also known as Vedic astrology, there are 9 planets having their particular function in the natal chart and represent special energies. These 9 planets are collectively known as Navagrahas. We find several images of these personified planets on the pillars of the temple. Towards the east entrance and within the mandapam of Bharata Samaj temple, we find a frieze depicting the story of King Elephant Gajendra, being cursed and born as an elephant in this life and leading a herd of elephants. He is taught a lesson the hard way to relinquish ahankara or the egoism and achieve the state of absolute self-surrender to God or Ishvara Pranidhana. This story is famously known as Gajendra Moksham.
Thus, my brothers and sisters, the truths hidden behind the symbols are so magnificent and of such deep import that devotion becomes strengthened and understanding the inner significance of the symbolic representations. It also brings out deeper and more intelligent kind of devotion. The understanding of the inner significance of the symbolic form does not deprive us of the form to which we may have become attached. It ensures that form with new life. This is a necessary step in our progress in realization of the reality hidden behind the symbol within ourselves. So we have in Hinduism rites, ceremonies, observances, images, countless forms of worship adapted to the countless type of human knowledge and of human ignorance. But they are all adapted to draw out love. They are all adapted to stimulate devotion. They are all adapted to bring about worship, because it is this attitude of the soul that is important and not the intellectual form in which the worship is couched. For the very poorest, the lowest, the nearest, the most ignorant, the meanest, there is something in this faith. For the highest, the most intellectual, the more spiritually advanced, there is still teaching in Hinduism. This is one of the distinguishing characteristics, that it has the teaching for the most ignorant and for the most wise, embracing them all within the same fold of religion. We members of the Theosophical Society are greatly privileged to know the hidden truths behind this faith, and very, very fortunate to enjoy the visit to this Jyotir Alaya, the Temple of Light, and to take part in this congregational puja, which has been performed every day, that is almost all the days since 1925 when the temple was consecrated. So the power of vibration here are so powerful, and it strengthens our devotion and gives us happiness and joy to render and to continue to serve humanity by cultivating an ever deepening understanding and realization of the ageless wisdom, spiritual transformation, and the unity of all life.
As the President of the Bharata Samaja Association, it is my pleasant duty to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of all the office bearers of the association. Before the vote of thanks, our grateful remembrance of the 10 founders, whose names are T. Ramachandra Rao, K. S. Chandrasekhar Iyer, A. Mahadeva Shastri, C. Subramanya, Honorable V. Ramesham, A. Ranganatha Mudliyar, V. Karunakar Nair, C. Ramaya, T. Sadashiva Iyer, and S. Rajaram. We also gratefully remember Dr. Annie Besant, Bishop C. W. Leadbeater, C. Jinradasa, and the first officiant of the ritual, J. Krishnamurthy, and the first woman officiant, Rukmini Arundel, Pandit Mahadev Shastri, Dr. Kunnan Raja, Telang, and other Sanskrit scholars who compiled puja mantras with certain plan and also translated into other languages. We are also grateful and remember the following senior TS members and residents who perform the puja regularly at 6 a.m. on all days of the year with grace and devotion, which is still continued. S.G. Venkatramanan, Dr. C.R. Kamath, Dr. Sundareshan, C. Subbarayadu, Srimati Sharada, Mrs. Adelta Sita Devi, G.S. Krupad, Mrs. Sita Nilakantan, N.C. Krishnamacharyalu, G.K.R. Patri, C. Sheshadri, Sharma, V.V. Mani, Natarajan, who have all gone to peace, and our grateful thanks for Miss Sundari and Mr. Hariyar Raghavan. We also gratefully remember outstation members who, whenever they came to Adyar for conference, study, conventions, etc., were performing puja, and they are A. Vasudevaya and A. Subramanyam from Mysore, Dr. Sushila Devi of Guntur, Pandikar from Kerala, R.M. Paduwal and Dr. Prannath from Varanasi, Govindrajulu of Coimbatore. There are many others who have worked in the association and carried on the puja regularly, whose names are not mentioned above. But to all those, our grateful thanks. I thank our International President, Brother Tim Boyd, for his encouragement and support, and thank our International Secretary, Sister Maria Artama, General Manager, Brother K. Jaikumar, and Brother Shikhar Agnihotri for their help in making this event possible globally. I also thank all the department heads of TS and their staff for helping us. Brother Vinay K. Patri for his dedication and commitment in bringing out video, and Brother Vignesh. I also thank all the viewers all over the globe for their interest and moral support.